Cool. We should be live. What up?
What is
What up?
up,
What up?
family?
What's going on, y'all? We live. It's good to see y'all virtually. You know, it's been a little minute. Not too long, but when you ain't seen family in a couple weeks, it's like, oh, what's up, fam? What's up, cuzos?
You
Because
know,
this, we see each other Tuesdays and Thursdays, but the Sunday vibe is a little bit different. It's more intimate. It's a lot more familiar faces. Tuesday, Thursday, that's like holiday church. Like you see people that that just go to holiday church. You feel me?
Exactly.
real pesos show up on Sunday, huh?
Yeah,
Every Sunday.
Sundays is like Wednesday Bible study. Like you really getting into it.
No, but that's real. We hope y'all listen, because the last Bible study we left them a gem, and I hope they caught it, because
Man,
he did something nice.
My
listen,
account caught it. Let's just say that. My account
mine
caught
too. Mine too, definitely. Between XLU and that ATBI dip. You feel me? But that's why you gotta buy time. I told somebody, they was like, man, what you doing with your ATBI play? I said, bro, I got till June 22. I bought more. What you mean? And then the next day it popped and I felt every piece of that.
I bet you
Felt
did.
every piece of that. So yeah, anytime me, AJ, or really anybody on this stage is giving advice, if it's like some quick, short-term advice, we gonna like notify you that hey, this is like for like a scout, which is not going to be often for me, probably never, because that's like you might as well flip a coin. You feel
Listen,
me?
if I say a pick, y'all already know. I don't speak about no pick. So if I say something, it's like, do your
It's long
DD,
term.
what?
Long term. You feel me? But yeah, what's up, y'all? We gonna get right to it. As you can see, I'm fully prepared for today. So I really don't want to waste no time. I love y'all, but I don't want to waste your time or my time. Now, we have the Bull versus Bear Championship. If you haven't been watching on Sunday, we've done a whole tournament. These are the final cuzos. We got Leah and Dave versus David, who done been running this by himself. Salute to him for sure. So tonight we doing FTNT Fortinet. I know y'all heard a lot of it. Y'all heard Jolene speak a lot about it because every stock review that she do at the beginning, you gonna hear FTNT somewhere in the mix. You feel me? So yeah, we doing the same format. It's gonna be 15 minutes, and then 15 minutes. I think the Bears is going first today, so 15 minutes initial case for the Bears, then 15 minutes initial case for the Bulls, and then when they done, we're gonna have rebuttal rounds. So we'll have a 3-minute rebuttal, a 2-minute rebuttal, and a 1-minute rebuttal. When they start their 1-minute rebuttals, I'm gonna go ahead and put a poll in the chat so y'all can vote who won. Now today we doing it different. We not coming back next week to tell y'all who won. We leaving it all on the field right here tonight. So we gonna give y'all a few minutes to vote. Make sure you tapped in. Make sure you paying attention, and make sure you ready to vote. All I ask is for like 60 minutes of your time. You feel me? On a Rams game day, I'm asking for your 60 minutes of your time. You feel me? That's all I ask for. So just make sure y'all paying attention, man, because we really need engagement to make sure it's an accurate vote. These people put time into this. You feel me? They have lives. They have family members, real cousins. They have jobs. Everybody on this Zoom is not, leisurely. We still get into it. We still, hustling. You feel me? So just make sure y'all are very respectful of the presentations that they put together. AJ, did you have anything for the people before we start?
No, bro, I'm excited about this one. Cybersecurity hot, so let's rock.
That's facts. That's facts. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. Bears, y'all could pull up y'all presentation. And I'll start the timer when y'all start.
Great. Okay. Ready. So, of course, we are the Fortinet Bears. I am Leah, and I'm accompanied, of course, by my partner here, Dave. You see him. And so before we even go on, let's just address the elephant in the room and acknowledge that, yes, some of us should have did our due diligence in February and hopped in when the SIP's pick list was released. Absolutely. I am one of them. So I'm with y'all, cuzzos. But no one's stock bay, including Mark and Jolene's, is without its own vulnerabilities and secrets. And today, we're going to expose the ugly truth of Fortinet. Go ahead, Dave.
So something to bear in mind.
Yeah, bear's coming. Here we go. Next slide, please. So let's just start right off the bat with how much of a wet dreams Fortinet designs and on their hardware and software are for hackers. Here are some of the main hacks that keep becoming prevalent and have been happening since 2016. The directory transversal hack is tricking the system into divulging secure information, including in files and directories on a server under the guise of being secure. So hackers can execute malicious commands, alter data, download files, or compromise the entire server itself. We also have VPN and multi-factor authentication hacks. These, like we just said, have been ongoing and have been known exploits in the Fortinet software. There are three that are mentioned here. The first one is the CVE 2018-13-379. That vulnerability was found in 2019 and has expanded to new variants just as recently as January of this year. There's also another CVE 2020 vulnerability that bypassed the two-factor authentication on directory services. And then there's also the multi-factor authentication hack where the hackers impersonate the servers, which is said to be 10 times more likely than any of the other mentioned hacks. And why is this happening? A lot of this happening is because of hard-coded keys. Fortinet has static passwords that are given to public users for multiple installs. And attackers with these keys can successfully authenticate as this user or a FortStem supervisor. And this is most common in the crypto key hacks that have been happening as of the last 3 months. And then you also have these zero-day vulnerabilities. These are software weaknesses that go undetected until the attack happens. This leaves vendors and developers with 0 days to fix. Now, why do we bring up these hacks? Next slide, Dave. We bring up these hacks because as we will share with you in the resources slide, these are all things that have been happening as of recently. Most of these hacks have been happening as of July. The exploit to the 49,000 vulnerable Fortinet VPNs happened, and these all have been persistent hacks. You also have just this week, the second one, which is the Fortinet warns customers after hackers leak passwords for 87,000 of their VPNs. You have the FBI and the CISA doing multiple blogs and warning posts warning of Fortinet vulnerabilities after ADP group hacking and just in general with all this VPN hacking. And then there's also an interesting article about Russia hacking the US election. I'll give you a hint and let you know what actual software and hardware was involved with Russia hacking the US election in 2016. We're the bear case for them. And not just hacking there, but we also have evidence of hacking in the COVID research. So could that be why there's so much disinformation now when it comes to the COVID vaccine and research now? Can we blame Fortinet and their VPN authentication hacks for that? Maybe. I'll let you decide. Speaking of this year, the July hack that involved 500,000 Fortinet VPNs, that didn't just affect us here in the United States. As this graph shows, there have been hacks that have persisted to all over the world. And of course, as Fortinet expands, the instances of these hacks being happening globally, of course, arises as well. For the 500K VPN accounts that were hacked, this is the graph showing that India was affected, Taiwan, France, Israel, Mexico, Germany, Sweden, and also Denmark as well, just to name a few. But you might be wondering, okay, Leah, Dave, why, if they keep having all these hacks and the FBI and the CISA keeps issuing all these warnings about VPN vulnerabilities, why is it that they keep getting all of these new government contracts? You know what? We ask ourselves the exact same thing. We ask, what does Senators Susan Davis, Susie Lee, and Thomas Carpenter all have in common? Well, they are not just buyers and sellers of Fortinet, but they're also on some very interesting committees. So Susan Davis, of course, they're all here mentioned with Madam Speaker Pelosi, is on the Committee of Armed Services and the Subcommittee of Sea Power and Projection Forces. So that's for the Navy. She actually handles all of their admin and can take and designate which actual cybersecurity company is allowed to actually interact with the Navy. Same thing with Susie Lee. Susie Lee is on the Committee of Veteran Affairs and the Subcommittee for Economic Opportunity and Tech Modernization. And it's interesting that as she joined this committee, then Fortinet conveniently opened up a program for cybersecurity training program for veterans the exact same year. And then we have Thomas Carper. He is on the Committee of Homeland Security and Government Affairs, and he's also the chair of the Subcommittee of Investigations. I won't even go down the rabbit hole, but you already know the synergies is already there. But outside of all of these external headwinds that Fortinet has to deal with, Fortinet also has to deal with itself. So here's a riddle for you. Should we be worried that the chief engineer just sold 24 million in shares just this last quarter? Or should we be worried about the recent employees found to be a part of the trading ring, making up to 1.7 million in the market, selling company information before earnings? I'm going to say both in this case. But of course, this isn't no surprise, and all of this shady business shouldn't take and have any of us who've done our due diligence surprised as well, because Fortinet is known for its shady practices. In 2019, they were caught violating the Trade Agreement Act with China. And from 2009 to 2016, Fortinet was switching labels on tech from then banned Taiwan and China, and then reselling these products to the US government. That's real interesting. Really, really interesting, selling the products to the US government from China. But not just the competition internally, let's also discuss the mighty competition. Next slide, Dave. Here are some of the few wolves already circling the wounded lamb. In 9 of 10 quarters, Fortinet's growth rate has decreased from 30 to 20%. You'll see that here compared to the software industry in the growth rate for revenue, EPS, and the actual revenue change as the graph here shows. And what are some of the wolves? Well, we have Palo Alto. Palo Alto has that next generation firewall that is a single stream engine. They have machine learning with crowdsourcing on their SOAR platform, which allows the Internet of Things security and automatic policy recommendations. So their single stream engine allows them to be able to search for ransomware, malware, all at the exact same time without any of the crazy buffering that you normally would have. And then Microsoft not only has 400K customers and reported 40% growth in the computer security segment, they just acquired Risk IQ to help bolster Azure cloud security in our now hybrid work environments. And with Cloud Knox, they are stepping into the privileged access space with software that spots and removes employees and virtual identities that are inactive and alerts for unusual activities in real time. But then you also have one of our favorites, CrowdStrike. Since going public in 2019, the stock has returned 255% to FTNT's 230%. They also have a specialized database to detect malware on laptops, cell phones, and other devices and secure that access the secure network. But that's not all. Dave, you want to take it over?
Yeah, so let's talk about this because as Big Grizzly mentioned earlier, there's a lot of profit taking, insider trading, and so forth. So I really want to talk about the most recent insider trading or profit taking. So when we look at the VP of engineering, the man that's in charge of innovation and technological improvement for the company Future, selling $24 million worth of stocks about 20 days ago, that makes you kind of think. Also, at the same time, the CFO sold $2.4 million of stock about 20 days ago. Then we also got the VP of corporate. So, I mean, as you can see here, all of this activity happened recently in the last basically 3 weeks. What happened about 3 weeks ago? Biden, the cybersecurity conference. Pump and dump. So now let's talk about where the wolves play. If you look at the volume, then the last basically 2 years since I want to say Q1 of September of 2019, you can see that we basically saw some decrease of volume from hedge funds. So yeah, the price is going up. The share price is skyrocketing. Yes, since February, it went up about 100%. Give you that. But when you look at the hedge funds, compared to about 2 years ago, they actually haven't really been purchasing and holding this company. So interesting. Wonder why. Maybe because the risks are growing. Maybe because, and this is from the 10K, or the source is actually from TipRank. Now, within the 10K, they actually started listing more and more of the risk that might be associated in their business. So yes, we understand that COVID was a factor for many businesses in the last 18 months or so, but their risks really started growing basically towards the tail end of 2018 and 19 and so forth. So what kind of risks are we talking about here? Well, so some of the risks that they're talking about are basically the operating results, and I quote directly from the 10K, our operating results are likely to vary significantly from unpredictable, right, factors. The COVID-19 pandemic, including the Delta variant and other variants, could adversely affect our business in a material way. Okay, so same with everyone else. But here's the thing. Now, if we're going to a digital world, a lot of businesses are basically expanding their digital operation because the physical world are being bogged down by this variant. Wouldn't that be a catalyst for the cybersecurity, industry and sector to actually grow? So interesting that they mentioned that. We generate a majority of our revenue from the United States. And basically a portion of our revenue is generated by sales to the government organization, which they're subject as a winning number of risks. So again, I all I want to say is that they're identifying these are some of the risks that are basically impacting their business. But most importantly is ESG. I really want to talk about this, and this is the environmental, social, and governance, right? So what they're basically saying is that investors' expectation of our performance in related to environmental, social, and governance factors may impose additional costs and expose us to new risks, right? Yahoo Finance gives them a score of 20 out of 100 for sustainability. Interesting. They don't really care about carbon footprint. no more water conservation. Yes, they have the physical product.
Time. Have to catch them in the rebuttals. That was a strong initial case, though. AJ, how you feeling?
No, that was definitely strong. Tons of facts. You know, I love it. I love the information and the research. So this is a good one.
I dig it. All right, Dave, or David, I should say. You ready? All right, I'll start the timer when you start.
Solo.
Man, solo. You've been running too.
Man, what?
All right, boom. I got the timer whenever you start, bro. You on mute though.
What's up, everybody? Appreciate you for being here for the finals of the Bull versus Bear tournament. I'm gonna need a little crowd participation before I get started. If you have a phone, put a 1 in the chat. I can't see the chat, so I'm hoping you guys are with me on this. Put a 1 in the chat if you have a phone. If you have a laptop, put a 2 in the chat. If you have a tablet, put a 3 in the chat. All right, let's run that up really quick if you have any of those items I just named, because I kind of want to talk about why we're here. I know this is a tournament, but I really want us to see why we may have missed out on FTNT when it was put on the pick list. All right, so put those numbers in the chat depending on what you have. And the reason why I asked you to put those there is because these devices, right, these are IoTs. When I say IoT, I'm speaking of Internet of Things. And it's the rise of Internet of Things that brings us to this point to talk about this company. And Internet of Things are basically devices that are connected to the internet that collect and share data. All right, and then the Internet of Things are powered by 3 things. All right, so these devices, it's 3 things that's gonna power it. First is artificial intelligence. The second is 5G. And the third is data. Data is the new oil. It's the one thing that all businesses want to keep sacred and want to protect. And that's what brings us to what we're talking about right now, which is cybersecurity, because the rise of Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, and IA, which is short for intelligence assistance, is predicated on how well cybersecurity can take place. Now, you heard some things from the Bear case. That was cool, but if FTNT wasn't that great, they really didn't express many options for other companies for you to put your equity in. So I want you to think about, we're going back and forth tonight. Where should you put your equity if not FTNT? All right, think about that, because if you have to put it somewhere, there has to be a winner in this space that's taking up market share. And when we also make investment decisions, remember, we don't make our investment decisions based on news. News come and go. Right, that's not a fundamental, foundational aspect of how we put our equity and our hard-earned money. News is not how you base decisions. Fundamental analysis and really jumping to the company. So let's get right into it. Let's go through a current event. And currently, one thing that's going on is cybersecurity. It's a huge thing. As recent as May 7th this year, we had the Colonial Pipeline breach, which basically forced the United States' largest gas line to shut down. And they were forced to pay $5 million ransom to the attackers. Right, so it's a huge problem for big companies, small companies. And as I said, data is the new oil, and these companies want to protect the data. And another thing, we need some more participation. If you heard about T-Mobile getting hacked and losing their data, give me a 4 in the chat this time. Right, so we all know this is a common event that's taking place, which leads to what? A market. Because once there's a problem, there has to be a solution for that market to flourish, and for us as investors to see that and profit. Again, we're getting into this problem. So according to the Checkpoint Software Security Report, there were 93% more ransom attacks in the first half of 2021. And they're triple extortion. What I mean by that is they're asking for ransom, they're stealing data, and they're targeting customers and vendors. And we're seeing, and there's an estimate that the cost, right, to prevent this will be about 4.2 billion, right? And it's going to increase 10% year over year for companies that have to deal with this problem. So it's a really important initiative. And again, we're talking about cybersecurity, and we're not even getting into the company. There has to be a company that's going to solve this problem. What company is that, right? We got to figure out what fundamental things are going to predicate us to put our money there. That's where FTNT comes in. So let's get right into it. What is the company? I'm not sure if you guys heard that from the Bear case, what the company is. They kind of jumped right into things, but let's take a few steps back and get acquainted. and lower this barrier of entry so we can really understand what the heck we're talking about. So FTNT is a provider of network security applications and unified treatment management networks, right, to secure platforms to enterprises, government agencies, as you heard, and wide entities, not just government agencies, right? There's more than one stream of revenue that they get money from. But they have 5 major focus areas of business. Those 5 major focus areas are security-driven networking, which they derive most of their product sales from, infrastructure security to safeguard assets and data. Remember, I told you, data is the new oil. You don't want your social security number, everything getting out. Dynamic cloud security, which is helping customers connect securely and across their individual hybrid multi-cloud environments. That's where that 5G point comes in. 5G broadens that so that we can get more data sent and shared over a wider basis. So again, we're trying to lower the barrier of entry first so we kind of understand how all this plays out, because you're gonna hear some rebuttals, and I want you to be able to understand what we're talking about, because the bear case didn't really define a lot of things for you guys to give context. The other thing is the endpoint protection, IoT, and OT security. Now, talk about OT security, again, lowering that barrier of entry, talking about operational technology. Operational technology is a huge word for hardware and softwares that monitors physical processes. All right, that's all that really means. And then also AI-driven security platforms. Those are the 5 areas of business that FTNT focuses on. All right, we got our CEO here. All right, really cool guy. He's been in the industry for 28 years. And a fun fact, he built the first ASIC-based firewall and VPN application. Again, let's lower down these high barriers of entry. What the heck does ASIC mean? It just means application-specific integrated circuit. What the heck does that mean? It's just a chip that does a specific function as opposed to a general function. So if I had a chip that just that mined Bitcoin, this is just a chip that works in firewall. That's all that is. All right. And he sold another company he started, NetScreen, in 2000. All right, started Fortnite. All right, when we're getting to the products and the services, 63% of the revenue comes from services, 37% the products. Pretty easy to follow there. And then the gross profit margins, how much are they making off of those, right? How much is gross profit? So gross profit, again, is revenue minus expenses. Net earnings is when we take out the taxes, all right? But we're working on gross profit margin right now. So 61% from products, 86% for services, all right? So we can see that service is a really big key component for this company. Now we're getting to acquisitions. Now, when we're talking about acquisitions, it's important for us to understand that they're doing something really cool that other companies aren't doing. They're vertically integrating all the things that they're all the companies that they're acquiring. Well, how are they doing that from a technology innovation standpoint? Again, it's the nitty-gritty details, not the speculative nature of news that makes us make decisions. So the acquisitions they have is here. They're correlating visibility and threat intelligence to its entire network security ecosystem, right? They have another company, right? And these are all pertaining to their services, right? That's one of their main providers of money, their services. They're strengthening their cloud capabilities. Cool. Now let's get into the products. They're able to broaden their product offerings, right? Well, this is cool. So not only are they just acquiring companies just to acquire them and build market share, but they're vertically integrating them organically. That's really important because that leads to operational efficiency. Now let's get into some numbers. Let's talk about interest payouts. When I say interest payouts, I want you to think about you have a credit card and you're going to buy something. Well, that little payment you got to make every month, right? That's the interest payout, but for a company, right? And one thing we want to look at is when we're looking at interest payouts for a company, it's reflective of how much the company is holding in debt, right? And it's informative of 2 things. It lets you know if the company's in trouble. Well, typically, if a company has high interest payouts, it means 2 things. First thing is that it's a competitive industry where it has high capital expenditures or payouts that's required, right? Typically, tech companies have this, right? They really have to put a lot of money to stay up to date with the innovation technology. The second thing is they're a company with an excellent business that acquired a lot of debt because they acquired companies. Well, one cool thing about this is we know that FTNT has acquired many companies. So if they've acquired many companies, technically, they should be holding a lot of debt, which means their interest payouts are high. But the interest payouts are actually less than 15% of operating income, which is great. It shows that they're able to make so much money and have enough earnings coming in that after that, they still have covered all the debt from all the acquisitions they made, operational efficiency, and we have innovation in terms of vertical integration of technologies and companies. Really cool thing. When we're talking about net income, I heard CrowdStrike being talked about. I heard about Zscaler being talked about. And, you know, they kind of really bashed in FTNT about being hacked. I'm not going to lie. But in 2017, Zscaler was hacked. In 2020, CrowdStrike was hacked by Russia. And this year, Microsoft got hacked. Also, everyone's getting hacked. All right, so we can cross that out as a non-important event because everyone's dealing with that. Got it. Now let's get really into the details that matter. Are those companies even operating at a profit? Well, hold on, David. Come on, you're being a little harsh. They're a tech company. Amazon wasn't profitable for what, 5-7 years? Oh, Tesla just got profitable in 2021. Fair enough. All right, fair enough. I'll give them that pass. They're a tech company. All right. But FTNT is profitable, right? CrowdStrike, they're having so much money going out towards research and development and marketing. It's killing their bottom line. What's the bottom line? Top and bottom line. Bottom line is revenue. Top line is earnings per share. So we really care about the revenue, right? Because we got to make money. We're a business at the end of the day. And then Zscaler, they IPO in 2018. They're too young. That's like Neo trying to compete with Tesla. They're not even in the same lane. So we're not going to talk about them. So let's keep on going. Talking about free cash flow. Free cash flow is super important because it's going to be able to allow the company to leverage and decide on making future ventures, right? When I'm talking about that, I mean either buying back shares to give equity back to shareholders, right? So if you own shares of this company, how can I increase your share value? Well, buy back shares, right? That's a very easy way of doing that, and they have the free cash flow to do that. Or, cool thing, what if they offer the dividend? Ooh, right, that's possible. They currently do not pay a dividend, but what if they were? Well, then cool, this company could potentially be a dividend play, right? And you'll see that great companies actually act as a really good hedge to the market because they have such great market share and they're so high in what they do. One of the things that I really want us to focus on is how they're poised for outperformance. The bear spoke about government contracts really heavily, but what I want you to understand is that they're actually targeting a different market now. All the companies, all their competitors work with big boys. Zscaler works with Microsoft and Salesforce. FTNT works with Google, Microsoft, Amazon, IBM, Oracle, and Alibaba, right? They all work with big enterprises, but one thing that's really setting FTNT apart is that they're going to small businesses. Now, why the heck is that important? Well, for two reasons. Small businesses don't have IT departments, so they don't have the infrastructure to build out to have cybersecurity. But guess what? They have data. We know data is the new oil. We know they want to protect that. So that is a niche market that they're actually going towards that's really going to help them. And not only that, the budget is low for many of these companies, and the price point for FTNT is lower than its competitors. So that's another broader market that they can tap into that's really going to give them a competitive edge. All right. Deferred revenue. Deferred revenue is basically mean how much money is out there that we haven't collected yet. So the cash flow cycle is a company has cash, you buy inventory, you offer that inventory to the market, and they have net 30 account net receivables, and you get that money back after 30 days or whatever, how long the net 30 or 50 account is, right? As we can see, the deferred revenue is increasing, which means more companies are going to be paying them back over time. Well, the only problem is if they didn't have increasing inventory, then that means they couldn't meet demand, but they do have increasing inventory, which is a positive, right? It's going to add to their ability to make a profit. And not only that, the days of sales outstanding is decreasing. So they're getting to their orders even quicker. Now, we talked about the stock. If all these bad things were going into the stock, right? Oh, they're selling shares, the institutional trading. If that was the case, why is it not baked into the stock? By the way, guys, give you some context. Penny stocks, they do the same thing. And you see the volatility of penny stocks. If there's real insider trading, that's truly affecting the bottom line and fundamentals of the business. But hey, why is this company so good? The stock price is still going up, but we're trying to be perceived and convinced that insider trading and selling shares and all this is going to impact the stock. Well, no, it's just news that's speculative, and we can't make decisions based on that. As we said and alluded to before, many of us are working and getting our hard-earned money. That equity has to be put somewhere as investors for us to get a return on it. Again, please don't be swayed by news. We want to look at the fundamental analysis and innovation for how we make decisions. If the company was really as bad as they said it was, if there was that much institutional trading going in that was so bad, right? Wouldn't it be baked into the stock? Just how the infrastructure bill was baked into all those EV stocks and water stocks, right? What happened after the infrastructure bill went through the Senate? Still hasn't gone through the House. Those stocks are correcting. We don't see that here, right? We see FTNT outpacing the S&P, Zscaler, CrowdStrike, and another competitor. There's nothing to worry about. We're gonna get into the rebuttals, but I really want you guys to put context to things. Don't take things at face value. Add a number to it. If you can't have an objective measure for how you make decisions, you can't put a number to it. All you're doing is going off of words and emotions. You know how relationships are. They can kind of sway you the wrong way. Appreciate you guys, and we'll get into the rebuttals real soon.
He's so smooth with it.
All right. Listen, man. David is like, you gotta watch David, man. You gotta keep your eye on David.
Man, silent assassin by himself. I love it.
Right. So listen, now we got something a little different for y'all because y'all know it's the championship, so we can't just throw y'all a home run, same format. You know, we gonna switch it up a little bit for y'all. So we are gonna have two guests that are now going to have the ability from now going forward to ask either side any question that they would like. That is going to be a part of your argument as well. So audience, as you watching, listen to their answers to these questions. The two guests, y'all can come on camera. Y'all don't, y'all can stand in the back and just be voice, vocal. Oh, okay.
Hey, y'all.
What's up?
Good evening, sis. And brother Mom.
Listen, so we got the big OGs in the building. You feel me? The temperature is turned up now. So I need y'all to lock in. They could ask a question now. If y'all got a question now for either case, y'all could go ahead or y'all could wait till after the first rebuttal, second rebuttal. But any point from here going forward, they can ask y'all questions that's going to be factored into your argument. You on mute, Mark.
I have a question. This was for the bear case. You all have brought Leah and David, or Dave rather, you brought up that the institutional holdings were decreasing. And last year we saw something similar where retailers were the leaders on stocks, for example, Tesla. So institutional holding didn't really matter. So if institutional holding is decreasing, wouldn't you say that's like more so along the lines of them trying to redeem themselves, like take profit from something already to put into something else because they miscalculated? So the question really is, so what? Who cares if institutional holdings are down? Why should we care about that when it comes to investing in this stock?
That's a great question, Big Sis. Let me answer that really quickly. The reason why we brought that up is compared to others in the industry, in software and in cybersecurity, the institutional investors are still there. So while yes, we have seen that in other cases and examples, when it actually comes to cybersecurity and software, specifically with Palo Alto, the institutions are still there, as are the hedge funds. So yeah, of course, because the stock is hot right now, it makes sense to pull out some and to protect some of that profit. But we still wanted to point out that compared to the actual industry, whether software or cybersecurity, they are pulling out of Fortinet way more than they are the actual other competitors in the industry.
Is it because there's more profit to pull out?
Well, I mean, if you compare it to CrowdStrike, then there isn't more profit, because from 2 years, CrowdStrike is at 255%, whereas FTNT is only at 230%. Yes, I mean, look, Fortinet is great when it comes to being heavily allocated in some of these ETFs like Bug and in Hack. So absolutely acknowledge that. However, when it comes to other juggernauts in the industry, even Cisco, the institutions are still there in Cisco. So that's why we took in and specifically bring that up and run that case. Hey, Dave, do you, unless, of course, Mark and Jolene have any questions or something else to contribute? Or
I just wanted to give you
a
temperature check, so make sure you're all on your toes. Okay.
Oh, yes, sis, I'm here to make you proud. I'm here to make you proud. You know that.
All I can add is conviction. That's it.
Yeah.
We're just talking about conviction right now.
Dave, do you want to bring up this and share the slides on the S&P?
Hold on,
Yes.
hold on. No slides yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No slides
My
yet.
fault.
Yeah,
I don't
Mark,
know what the new.
Thank you.
So I got a question for both sides. So for the bull side, I have a question for what say you, given that we see that IT spending is at a significant high right now, how does Fortinet continue to sustain itself when we do start to see the drop in IT spending, where we see that companies do take a lull period and their spending drops? And how will that affect the company? Will we still see its growth, and do they actually have a plan? Given that essentially that they're seeing large inflows of capital and large inflows of revenue, how are they investing those dollars? How is it that they're doing it kind of like the Amazon or Stripe way? And then on the bear side, here's a question for you. You mentioned Michael G, Keith Jensen, and I think it was Whittier also, their general counsel. You mentioned that they sold based upon, I think it was off of their exercise of their options that they were awarded. How do you know how much, does Michael G take in an annual salary, or is he on a dollar salary? And is the same thing for Keith Jensen? If so, then wouldn't that be justified in taking a $24 million payout for the year? Just want to get your thoughts. You guys can take it however you want to.
I'll go.
From either side. Which one wants to go first?
I just want to ask, am I allowed to show slides to answer Mark's question?
T-Will said not during this time.
Yeah,
no,
if you want to put it as part of your rebuttal, like you feel like he hitting your case and you want to put it in the time, you could do that, but you got to answer it verbally.
Oh, that's fine. So in regards to the question of what they're going to do with IT spending being at a high, and do they have a plan? They do have a plan. I was hinting at it towards the end of my bull case. And that plan is to go into integrating with small and medium-sized businesses. Many of the competitors are all talking about enterprises, right? Google, IBM, Alibaba. But the one thing that FTNT is doing is they're working with small and medium-sized businesses. And we know that because many of their competitors need multiple products to appeal to a medium-sized business, when FTNT actually has everything underneath one product, right? So I guess they spoke about Paleo, I believe. They offer two products that do the thing that FTNT does in one, FortGate. So because of that, a medium small size business can invest in that product, right, at a lower efficiency, at a lower operating cost, right, and get the same results. So that is one plan that they have that's really contributing to their ability to gain market share and outpace their competitors. The fact that they're going to small and medium-sized businesses, because again, medium-sized businesses don't have IT departments to keep up with cybersecurity and protect their data. So if they don't have that, then how can we provide a cost-efficient way for them to be in the market, compete, and have some type of security in terms of their data? And that is the plan that they currently have laid out.
Does the bear case want to answer the question that I asked?
Yeah.
Or is it in your slide?
No, in regards to the salary for like Michael Z, I know he makes about $500,000 a year. Okay. So it's not like a Tim Cook $1, not Tim Cook, but like a Steve Jobs $1 a year salary. No, we're not seeing that. So yes, even though $500,000 is relatively low for a CTO, but to take a $24 million, exercise of $24 million of options, that's also pretty lucrative as well. So I just want to keep that in mind.
And especially since the average that FTNT, normally insiders take and sell for the quarter is about $9 million. So to jump all the way to $30 million within the last quarter was significant. And we just did still want to bring that up to their attention, especially being the chief engineer, right? So if the chief engineer and you're looking at long-term, and you're looking at long-term shares and long-term hold, why would you take out 24 million when the thought is, of course, you know the innovation that is coming from your company, right? And you know that that 24 million, just like you say, we need to take in and look long, right? That 24 million by 2026, if you're investing right and you have conviction in the company that you work for, will take in, should be more than that even.
Would we say the same thing if Jeff Bezos, when we saw Jeff Bezos take out about $1 billion worth of shares out of Amazon?
Yeah, I mean, but he also took that out and still took and created the actual additional company. We don't have any data saying that they actually took and furthered that for any additional research or development, or he did anything else substantial with that other than just taking the money out and holding it for himself.
Sweet, thank you.
Can I rebuttal to that argument, to what she just said?
It has to be part of your rebuttal.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Gotcha. I'll wait.
All right. Bears, you ready to start your 3 minutes?
Yep, let's go.
All right, boom. I'll start when you start.
See my screen?
Yep.
All right. So I just want to continue with ESG, and the reason why this is important is because compared to like a Palo Alto network, it's relatively higher than the risk. It's still a low risk, but it's still a risk that investors need to think about, right? We're looking at how the company impact basically compares to other companies in the sector. So again, it's all about what is the risk associated. And this is not just about the financial. The financial might be great, but if there is a risk associated that might bring, or some scandal that might bring the company down, it will tank it pretty fast. Stairs up, elevator down. Lee, you want to add something about that?
Yeah, it was interesting that in tip ranks, they were mentioning that that was one of the newest risks for this year or for this quarter. And they said that perceived negative investor sentiment would take and drive them to have to take and do and invest additional costs in order to combat some of the perceived negative sentiment of ESG that they have. And we see that's the case already with how they are with in comparison to other juggernauts of the industry. So I thought that was really interesting that they perceive ESG as a risk and not something that should be celebrated or applauded as something that they should take and invest in and do more for their actual internal and external customers, right?
So essentially, it's not really a high priority for them, but ESG will impact the stock. So what happens if we have a risk off period? So now it went on a parabolic run since February. I'll give you that. I mean, it's up 100%. But when we look at it from a technical standpoint, we look at the stock itself and plot the 50 EMA and the 200-day moving exponential moving average. What we notice is that the stock itself is about 28%, almost 30% above its 200-day, and also about 8%, almost 7% over its 50-day. So this is relatively high. We know what's coming around the corner, right? We know that there's going to be a market correction, a pullback. So yes, the ship has sailed. So I just want to everyone keep in mind and really be honest with every one of you cousins is please don't buy the high. We want to be completely transparent here because we watch out for additional profit taking and rolling corrections. Lastly, really quickly, beta. What beta is basically the risk, right? So it's basically how the stock compares to the S&P 500. The beta for FTNT is 1.67. So if there's a risk off period, there's
time, bro. Hate to do it. I hate to do it, but you still got 2 more rounds. So if it's something good, I know you'll fit it in there somewhere. All right, David, you ready, bro? All right, I'll start the 3 when you start. You on mute. The Rams is up 10-0, by the way, in case anybody was wondering. Just throw that in there.
That's not revenue generating right now. We not playing DraftKings.
No, that's facts.
All right. So one
Or
thing
are
that that the bear case is spoke about ESG. ESG prior to I'm going to say maybe the last 2 years has not been a nuanced conversation. It's been something that's looming, but it's not something that has been major that all companies are really gearing towards improving. But let's say they are correct, right? ESG is a problem. Well, we can compare FTNT to its competitors. They have the free cash flow to build out the infrastructure to improve their ESG. So when I'm talking about that, I mean lowering their carbon input, lower emissions. Those are the things we're talking about when we're talking about ESG. So though that is an issue right now, they do have the money to build out the infrastructure. And one thing that the bear case has not done yet is they haven't provided you a company in cybersecurity for you to put your money. FTNT isn't the one, right? And one of the things that they're continually saying is that FTNT is overvaluated, right? If we look at the forward revenue of FTNT and its competitors, well, FTNT has a 14x forward revenue. CrowdStrike has a 21x. Zscaler has a 37x. That spells to me overevaluated. So again, let's say they have some type of legitimacy to their statement. Well, where should you put your money, right? Because they haven't outlined any infrastructure. Any fundamentals, any innovation that outpaces FTNT. So that's not really a cause for concern. But one thing that FTNT is doing better is understanding where their revenue is coming from. Zscaler derives most of its income outside of the US. Right, so we can say from 2020 to 2017, 51 to 54% of their money has come from outside the US. When we compare that to FTNT, well, 42% of their revenue comes from America, right? And then the other 60% is, we can say, from emerging markets and outside the US as well. So again, FTNT is geographically diversified when it comes to revenue, not in a one spectrum way where most of the revenue comes from one place and is really impacting their ability to broaden, right? It's geographical diverse. And that's one of the benefits that we have in FTNT. And they spoke about the owners exercising their options. She said, well, CrowdStrike has a better stock price or appreciation over the last 2 years. What about over the last 6 years, 7, 10 years? FTNT has outperformed CrowdStrike. So it will make sense of why they would want to take more money now, right, as opposed to before. And again, the appreciation has been astronomical, and that is why they've taken so much money and exercised those options. It's not just the fact that they're overtaking profit.
Time, right on time. All right, guests, OGs, y'all got any questions?
Yes. So to my bears, you mentioned as it pertains to ESG, and you mentioned tip ranks. Just this is not to knock your score or anything like that, but one of the things, especially looking at ESG, we're very much so in our very much infancy of infrastructure being evaluated, and on top of that, most companies don't really have a full set action plan. Like if you really think about it, the top ESG companies in the world right now, or just coming out of the United States, is probably maybe Target and Starbucks, just to put it into perspective, and then maybe even Apple. Everything else, it's like everybody else has their own judgment. A lot of folks go by like SART charts and all those things, but even then, a lot of companies don't have full-fledged action plans. So looking at something like tip ranks, even though they're very much so in the beginning of just giving ESG data points. There's over 200 different data points when it comes to ESG that I just don't think that tip ranks will be able to provide you that says that, okay, hey, that they're considered a high risk when it comes to ESG. But I will give you credit as it pertains to looking at them and saying, okay, hey, there's going to have to be some significant spending, especially when we're looking at things that utilize products. And for example, the use of, say, for example, things like electricity, natural gas, and water, those types of things on the environmental. To get my question out there so that way everybody's, probably on the same page. Bears, are you looking at it? Are you bearish from a growth perspective, or are you bearish from, say, for example, a value perspective?
Sure, I can answer that. For me, it's more of a value. Actually, it's a combination of value and growth. And the reason why I mention that is because within their 8K, they actually mentioned and listed that ESG is not a priority for them. They mentioned it, they list it as a risk. So because of that factor alone, that actually is it really is just the start of the wrong foot. They're getting off on the wrong foot there, is what we're basically saying.
And not to go against you, of course, Professor, but it wasn't just tip rings. So Yahoo Finance also gave them a 20 out of 100 for sustainability ESG. And then I actually look at sensible, mindful investment summary. The sensible, mindful investment summary, as you're shaking your head, I know you know exactly what that is as well too. That actually breaks down all of the companies in the sector, and it takes and gives all of the companies as in the sector an evaluation. And so, yes, the sector itself isn't doing too well. However, FTNT is doing worse in those 4 that we mentioned than even others in the sector who before 2 years ago had already started to implement and to think green. While yes, a lot of the social economics in the world have just started with and have just come to light in these last 2 years with everything that has been happening socially. A lot of the environmental stuff, this is not new. This environmental stuff is not new at all. And a lot of their competitors have already started, especially with their hardware in particular, to take and reduce their carbon footprint and to take and start conserving their water. And that's why we take and bring it up. Yes, now it's in the forefront, and it's the new trick pony as of the last 2-3 years, but it's not a new trick at all. So I know that we're talking about the social part is starting to is new and is up and coming, and a lot of people, investors, whether it's social, whether it's retail investors or institutional investors, are now paying more attention to it. However, especially environmental is not new at all.
So David, looking at you from the bullish standpoint, how much of Fortinet's business is hardware versus software or services? Because it speaks to the question of ESG when we say, okay, hey, if a vast portion of your business is hardware, then that can pose some risk. But if it's not, then does that make that point moot?
So 63% of their revenue is service and 37% is product. So most of their money is coming from services. So I hear what she's saying, but when they are, am I allowed to show slides or no? No, I'm not allowed to show slides. Okay.
All verbal unless you want to add it into your 2 minutes.
Oh, fine. Bet. Let's add into my 2 minutes.
All right.
So he yields his time. I like it.
I have a quick question. This one's for David. And maybe it's going to come up in your slide, but I'll just ask it anyway. So we're talking about ESG, and as you know, when it comes to hiring future innovative thinkers, engineers, computer science majors, all of that, they're more inclined towards ESG. And so if Fortinet is not as concerned with ESG right now, then how is that going to play out with hiring new talent? Like if they're trying to gain market share and be the future and continue to increase their market share, they're going to need those types of workers, right? And if they don't have those type of workers because they're passing on it during interviews because they're not ESG focused, what is Fortinet going to do? So that's the question. If there's not a focus on ESG, then what's the plan here for hiring?
Oh, are we going to slides?
Is he going straight to his rebuttal? Oh,
I'll
okay.
start when you start, bro.
Oh, okay. Hey, he's just like, all right. I yield my next question.
So to answer both Mark and Jolen's question, I was asked in regards to products and services. Well, one thing we got to focus on is compared to its competitors, Fortnite is actually working on increasing their market share in network security, which is all service provided. So that is going to be the moat that they have moving forward. That's going to set them apart. Right now, they already control 12% of this market, and they continue to build out into this market. So the fact that they're focusing on services as opposed to products allows them to better help with ESG. And again, the cash flow that they have compared to the competitors is almost 3 times more. So they have the money to do it. In regards to Jolen's question is how they're going to be building out in terms of getting innovative thinkers. Well, it's through services, because they won't be asking people to come in-house to provide the expertise. It will all be on a service online platform. And again, there's not one competitor that the Bears can name that actually has infrastructure and things built out for ESG. Though they may have been thinking about it, let's not talk about thinking about it. What money has been put in place to the competitors, right, that says that they are better investing in ESG. Again, we're looking for a bear case to where we should put our money outside of FTNT. We still have not been told that at all, one company. But to answer the questions again, they're focusing on network security, which is a service-based need. That service-based need will not allow them to overstep themselves in ESG anymore and use the free cash flow to build infrastructure to lay out a plan for ESG to take place. Again, this is something new to the market that many companies are now dealing with. This company has the money, has the time, and has the supply chain to do it. Again, when we talk about ESG, climate change is going to affect supply chains. They have a lot of their things built in-house and vertically integrated, what other companies don't.
Time. All right. So we switching it up now since he went ahead and did his 2 minutes. Bears, Bears, y'all can get y'all 2 minutes. I'll start when y'all start.
All right. I mean, first I got to say, Cisco and Palo Alto are actually investing in ESG currently. Just want to put it out there. Now, one thing that David did mention was that they're targeting, Fortinet's actually targeting small and mid-sized businesses that don't have the IT infrastructure to really support. But here's some consumers' constructive feedback regarding that user experience. I can't stress this enough. I mean, one, the sales team are lacking information. They really have to, as far as like licensing, hardware model, they're saying that they're having a lot of, to ask a lot of clarifying questions, and there's a poor SLA. So that service level agreement, the response time that goes into a user experience has been very poor, right? Some of the things that we would mention, this is actually directly from Trusted Radius, is that the user interface in the GUI is actually lacking some features. A lot of the commands they have to put in are actually through command lines, are actually very difficult to configure, right? And can be very cumbersome work for a lot of new users and beginners. So yes, Fortinet is trying to up their training, but currently right now, and that's basically for the military, currently for the training that they have in the documentation are poor, right? So there's a lot to be desired when it comes to Fortinet. And that, even though it's cheaper, it's not easy for a lot of small businesses to actually scale because of all these issues they're having to configure the firewalls. So.
And before we go, because we only have 15 seconds, what small business would like to wait an average of 18 months in order to get a hacking issue resolved? And that's the average for Fortinet when it comes to actually getting issues resolved. What small business has the money to wait 18 months?
All right, so Mark and Jolynn, this will be our last opportunity to ask questions, and then each team will have their last 1 minute say so to persuade people. After they answer these questions, I am going to put the poll in the chat while they're doing their last minute, so make sure y'all are looking for that. OGs, y'all take it away.
I have a question real quick. I need this to be addressed specifically. This is for the Bears because David from the Bull side is basically saying that you all have to give, if you're saying no to Fortinet, then you have to give a other alternative. So I would like for you to all to address that. Either it's another company or there's a reason why we don't have to put our money in FTNT, period. I just need that to be specifically addressed because he's doing something called like a box argument and he's trying to get, so I just need that to be answered.
Yeah, I'm not too worried too much about David. Personally, in my trading plan and my investment strategy, what's comfortable for me is I invest in ETFs. So I am already in Hack. And as I acknowledged, Hack did take an up the allocation for Fortinet. So I acknowledge that. I am in Hack. You can also be in Bug as well too. However, I like Palo Alto and I also like CrowdStrike. But me personally, I am more comfortable in investing in ETFs. So right now I am in Hack.
I also say this, pay attention to Zscaler. Really pay attention to them because in the next couple of years, you want to see a growth story, that'll be it.
I mean, Palo Alto's single stream engine for their next generation firewall is what sets them as different from Fortinet, and that's where I'm at. So once again, I'm in Hack, but I also, we've done the due diligence on Palo Alto and CrowdStrike as well too.
Mark, you got any questions, bro? You on mute.
I got so excited that I was so ready. Cousin Leah, I need you back because you mentioned something when you mentioned ETFs. And feel free, Dave, if you want to jump in. And I definitely want David to possibly answer that question that was also brought up by Dave as well. Because I just want to see how it is, and I can be crazy like that. So you mentioned that you invest in ETFs. What would you say is the best ETF on the entire stock market? For example, it's the most bought ETF on the market.
I mean, everybody loves SPY, but I'm a SMH girl myself, but
Hey, that's fair.
Everybody loves SPY. I don't want to say too much about SMH because I know that's Big Sis Bay. So, but it's SPY is pretty big and up there as well too.
So if we're looking at SPY as the #1 ETF on the market, out of all cybersecurity companies, which company is in the SPY ETF?
Oh, FTNT. You're absolutely right, and that's why.
Are there any others?
Yes, there are others as well too, but for the S&P, and I don't know if David, we can't bring up the slide, but as we already mentioned, if we're looking to diversify outside of the S&P, which is exactly what I was looking to do this time last year, when I didn't have as much of the knowledge as I did now, I shouldn't have put my money into FTNT, because FTNT performs worse on days when the S&P is down. So I do like the S&P and I do like FTNT in the S&P, but when it comes to diversification, you might want to look somewhere else, because when you're bleeding on the S&P, you're also going to be bleeding on FTNT.
And I just want to mention this, Mark, is that it's just the run that it has taken the last 7 months has just been, it's been incredible. I will give you that. There's going to be profit taking. In the near term, there will be some bleeding. And I want to just emphasize that to everybody, that FTNT right now might not be the best option to invest in.
Is that because of the fact that when we see such large growth that essentially we see choppiness then the year after? Is that what your thesis is?
Absolutely. And because of that, that's a premium killers for option. And a lot of us are actually in options. So if you're going to go into like even a lead, it's going to be stagnant. So the one thing that's going to cost you is opportunity cost. Your money could be more useful in something else than actually going through that choppiness in FTNT.
David, what say ye?
Miss Jolene asked for a company. You said an ETF. Just want to throw that out there. She asked for a company that she asked for a company. I heard
I went based upon my trading plan, by the way. So that's why I gave an ETF, is because my trading plan says I invest in ETFs and not companies. So I didn't deviate from what I am used to.
If that was the case, then everyone further. I didn't know we were cutting people off during their rebuttals. I haven't cut anyone off. If that was the case, then we could have just threw ARC as our consensus for every bull versus bear battle since the beginning of the tournament, if that was the case, right? That you can just, obviously you can broadly invest in the whole sector. Again, you didn't tell your company, you said Zscaler, right? No, you're talking, you said Zscaler.
Let him finish, let him finish.
It's 2 against 1, guys. It's okay. I've been used to it. I've been killing it all tournament, so it's okay. You said Zscaler is a company that we have to worry about. Again, their forward revenue is almost double of what FTNT is. So if there's profit taking, it'd be profit taking on that company that's obviously overvaluated. That's one huge thing you gotta really think about. And again, most of Zscaler's revenue doesn't come from the US. And the things that are going on with tariffs and Zscaler, guess where most of their money comes from? Products, not services. Again, we talked about ESG. How do you think that carbon footprint is going to go for Zscaler with this high growth? If there's going to be a correction, there's going to be a huge correction on Zscaler as opposed to FTNT. Again, FTNT holds more market share. You will see that FTNT will be more defensive than all the other competitors that it goes against in terms of the stock price. Again, if everything you're saying is true, why hasn't it been baked into the stock price? Why? Why is FTNT still outperforming? Kind of how I'm outperforming solo. It's the same story.
Yo. All right. Yo, we're going to go ahead and get into the last minute rebuttals.
I yield my time.
I'm going to let since David just kind of got his stuff off, I'm going to let the Bears go first so we hear from y'all. I'm putting the poll in the chat now, so if y'all want to make sure y'all go ahead and vote, please. We need, it's what? Almost 500 people in the chat. We need almost 500 on the poll. So make sure you're looking at the chat and give your vote. Bears, I'll start when y'all start. Y'all got 1 last minute to get y'all case.
So I just want to address something really quickly. Is I have said Palo Alto several times. So I know that we keep ignoring me and saying that I'm not saying an actual particular stock, or we keep trying to force me to give credit to Zscaler when I haven't done enough due diligence to feel comfortable about Zscaler. However, I have for Palo Alto, and Palo Alto is outperforming on ESG and on actually leading the industry as far as performance that is going to affect us in the future, which I'm talking about is the next 5 to 10 years. So I just wanted to put that out there, that we have literally been saying Palo Alto this whole entire time, and that again, no one's bay is perfect, and FTNT is
Time. Ooh, I hate to do that, Leah. Respectfully, I press mute. That was a very respectful mute. Just know that. David, you got
She did come through with the smoke though on Palo Alto though, for
She
sure.
did. She did. David, you got a last minute, bro. I'll take it when you go. You on mute, by the way.
As you guys see here, 73% of small and medium-sized businesses plan to invest more in cybersecurity within the next year. There's one company that's looking to take advantage of that market share. That's FTNT. Cool. Thank you for giving us Palo Alto, and they're already investing in ESG, but they don't have the free cash flow to continue investing in the infrastructure compared to FTNT. FTNT is a cash cow, very similar to Apple, but in the cyberspace. So guess what? Just because you're first doesn't mean you're going to stay ahead. That's causation, is not correlation. So just because you can make that point, it doesn't yield a return, or is not going to mean that FTNT can't become ESG friendly within the next 2 to 3 years. Again, this is something new for all companies. All companies are doing this. All right. Another thing we really got to pay attention to is a lot of large firms, right, are going to be looking to handle cybersecurity in-house. What happens then when that market share is taken away from Palo Alto? Are they going to try to come to medium-sized businesses that FTNT has already been?
Time. Boy, that was, man. What you think, AJ? We didn't get to hear from you as much.
Man, I just been trying to digest it all. You know what I'm saying? Like, we had excellent questions from our guests, to tie it all in. I'm curious to see what the Cuzos feel about this one, man.
Me too. I think this was much needed, though. This was much needed. As y'all can clearly see, these are 3 scholarly Cuzos. So make sure, even if you got to vote for, we forcing you to pick a side, make sure y'all show them all love in the chat, for real, because they did their thing. They did not know Mark and Jolene was coming on the show. So for them to be prepared with answers, that just shows you they actually did their research. They didn't throw no presentation together and they reading directly off it. Like, they actually did their research,
I text Dave just now. I said, hey, Mark and Jolene on the chat. Hold on. Mark and Jolene on the chat. Hold on.
Y'all definitely did y'all's thing, though. Y'all was prepared. So
did David. You've been doing your thing by yourself, going solo. And it's really been enjoyable watching you. I watch all the Sector Sundays, of course, and it's really been enjoyable. And I have learned so much from you. That Micron, I can't lie. You influenced me on that Micron one. So
thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I just want to say I enjoyed this. I look forward to it. I had a lot going on this week, and I was like, I gotta show up for this one. So thank y'all so much for this.
Happy to see that smile on your face compared to when we first got on.
Yeah, look, I told you.
No, seriously, I mean that.
Yeah,
she had that ice grill.
She did.
I was not feeling it, but
Big Grizzly, you were looking earlier, but
I know. Thank you for dealing with me, Dave.
But to that point, though, Lee, I do appreciate each and every one of y'all's consistency over the course of the last few weeks, though. I definitely understand that everyone has lives to live and be busy, but y'all have took the time week after week to make sure y'all did y'all's due diligence and bring nothing but stellar information to the people. And for that, we are thankful and grateful. We really appreciate y'all for that. So I just want to let that be known.
Listen, man. And everybody, we got the 2024 contracts coming out tomorrow.
Please don't jump in immediately.
Don't jump in immediately. Before you buy any company that you are not familiar with, even if it's on the list, you need to watch these videos and learn how to really do a bull and bear case. There's none that we've done on the YouTube so far that I will say, probably not watch that one. Nah, all of them was solid, and it's a very good example of the type of fundamentals, technicals, thesis that you should be formulating when you go in to buy these leaps. Because in order to have a leap, your thesis has to play out. We saw good companies like AMD stock get wrecked, but the thesis ended up playing out to where even if you bought at the high and you got a 90% drawdown, you still could have ended up cool because it was a quality company. Now, technicals still play a major factor. Nobody wants a 90% drawdown. So that's the second piece. But the first piece is always going to be the fundamentals, always in leaps. So this is a good base. Mark and Jolene, while we give people more chances to vote, make sure y'all vote. Did y'all have anything to say before we announce the winner?
This was incredible. Like, it's amazing. Like, David, how long have you been investing, or how long have you been on this journey?
I started 3 years ago.
That's amazing. Dave, what about yourself?
Seriously, about 5 years, like really getting into the market. 5 years.
And Leah?
This is my second year. I started with most people who started during COVID.
This is incredible. I mean, this is incredible, the fact that where you guys are. I mean, put, say, for example, a Dan Ives on the show, or Gordon Johnson, and to see how like you guys could like literally go toe to toe with any senior or principal analyst to literally bring forth bull and bear points. I mean, this is what it's about. I mean, you all did a fantastic job, and each and every single one of you, like it's like you could see the places and where it's like, all right, this is where it's like their strengths are and ultimately where they're going with it. So I just say keep going. I mean, keep doing what you guys are doing because it's fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate you.
I echo the same sentiments. You all did just a wonderful job. And I also appreciate the full range of not only of the research, but also your respect for one another. Like, even as it got heated, y'all like, did a little temperature check. So I appreciate that,
Check.
Things get spicy in these streets, and you all gave some spice, but then you played nice. So I just appreciate that, because I know how competitive I can be, and I can get real passionate and be wanting to fight somebody. Not for real, but so I think you all did a great job. No matter what the outcome is, you got I'm very, very impressed with all three of y'all. And yeah, I think, Mark, I think there are some things that could be done, don't you think?
Oh, don't worry.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not this is not my show, so I'm a guest today. So.
I'm not saying for you to say it. I'm just, I'm just acknowledging, these real scholars in these streets,
Indeed.
That's
Indeed.
facts. That's facts. We appreciate y'all for joining us too. We know it's Sunday.
Yes.
Please give Miss Monroe my best wishes, because you feel me, this is supposed to be your free family day. So thank her for that. And Jolene, I mean, Sunday was God's leisurely day. So we definitely appreciate you and your leisureness for showing up today. But the votes are in. We did cut it off. AJ, what it's looking like, man?
Man, it's feeling like what Jolene said. It's feeling like family spade night, Feel like we spade table. It's a little hot, These folks came in a little hot tonight. And it was close, but bro, we got to give it up to David, man. We got to give it up to David. All right. So everybody, please show everybody love, but show David all the love in the chat tonight. Okay. Big
what he win though?
David.
We never told him. We never even said. Usually when you do a tournament, it's like, oh, this first place, this whoop-de-whoop. What do we get?
I mean, you know, this was the championship round, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, we had to do it a little big and do it different this go around. So, David, I would like to inform you that you have won not only a one-on-one with Mark, but you have also won an invitation into the Matrix. So welcome, sir.
That's what I wanted.
Welcome, sir.
Nice. Congratulations, man.
Congratulations, man. Kudos.
Thank you. I appreciate
Definitely
it.
deserve it. So
Can we go a little bit of a step forward though? Can we go like, because, you know, I want to show folks like this is what happens when you put the devotion in there. David,
Do it.
I'd be remiss if I were to say that you just get a one-on-one with me. You get a one-on-one with me, but also I want to actually take you under my wing and mentor you.
That's fire.
So which means that, you know, after our one-on-one session, we'll actually be spending more time with each other and having those times in which that we can sit down and we can talk. And given in the sense that you two, Dave and Leah, were so devoted because of the fact that I understand that this took devotion and like the consistent week over week over week, I want y'all in the Matrix also.
That's fire.
But at the same token, just know this, for those who have been in the Matrix before, it ain't no walk in the park.
It's not.
It's
not. It's definitely not. It's definitely not this. Like a Matrix, I'll give y'all just a little glimpse of the Matrix. Y'all would have did this, and then Mark would have turned around and told y'all, all right, David, give me the bear case then in 2 minutes. And your case got to be just as strong. You feel me? I don't know what Mark is doing this year, but the energy is different in the Matrix.
It's going to be a whole different type of energy.
And you might have to go up against Mark, like I did in the Matrix.
You have to go up against Mark. You're going to have to go up against other people that, you know, have been there before. So, but y'all definitely earned it for sure.
We're about to shit like you. We've seen your teeth, David, but you're getting ready to see a lot of things. All right. So, do you accept my invitation, David?
1,000%. Yes, I do. Thank you so much.
Sweet.
I'm lost for words. That's why I'm so quiet. I'm sorry. Thank you for everyone. Yeah. I'm just grateful, honestly. I'm just grateful.
You earned it, bro.
I'm looking forward to having y'all in the Matrix. It's gonna be fun.
And listen, David didn't sign up by himself. He had a partner. His partner fell through probably a couple of days before they were supposed to present. And I was like, bro, if you want me to find somebody, like I got you. I was halfway capping because I was not trying to find somebody else. You know, you gotta throw it out there. You feel me? For me to find you somebody, I got you. He was like, I'll do it dolo. And here we are. So I salute you for that, bro. That was a mean streak you just had.
Appreciate it.
Excellent, my brother.
Hard work pays off. Hard work pays off. Well, I look forward to seeing you on the Matrix. And Dave, I look forward to having those one-on-one sessions with you, brother. So
yeah, me too. I'm looking forward to that.
Wow.
Tebow, go ahead and set the arrangements. Huh?
Sign me up for next season right now. If we get one-on-ones, if one-on-ones is the championship, is the prize.
I think that we should switch up the championship. Now. Can I just put it out there on the record for next year or for the next season? Next season, the championship will be, you will have to go up against not only myself, but you'll also have to go up against Q.
Yeah. Now. I'm down. So
yeah,
I'll be tough.
I'm with it. So sign me up right now.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun. I'm down for that.
Mm-hmm.
So matter of fact, now that that's said, we got a lot of people in the chat. If you want to sign up for this, because I got a couple new people already. I got a couple people that I know is coming back. If you want to sign up, hit me. You see what's at stake. You see what's possible. I mean, you know, we know what Mark is working with. We know what Jolene is working with. We know what the Matrix is working with. So if you want to be a part of that, it's starting December. We're going to run another tournament. You feel me? So, hey, let me know. Let AJ know, and we'll get to it. But outside of that, man, I don't want to hold y'all too long. We went a little bit over. I ain't even mad just because this was, you know, very beautiful. It was very black and beautiful. You feel me?
It was.
Hey.
Not every day I use the word beautiful, but today was very black and beautiful. So anybody else? I'll run down to Dave. You got anything to say, bro? Loss of words, huh? David, you got anything to say, bro?
Thank you for the opportunity. I'm more than grateful. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you, bro. Leah, got anything?
I can't wait to learn. So thank you so much for the Matrix invite. Y'all have no idea. Thank you so much. Can't wait for Wealth Rituals, sis.
Facts.
Soon come. It soon come.
AJ, you got anything for the people?
Peace and love, and as always, keep learning, y'all. Just keep learning.
Lady Elysia? And Money Man Mark.
I'm Mark Monroe, and this was your come up.
That's facts, y'all. So y'all have a good night, man. Catch that Rams game if you're trying to see some real football. But on the real though, focus. It's a big week. A lot of people been waiting for this week. Don't go buying XLK 200 January 24th right at the bell. Like, just calm down, take a couple deep breaths, and think about what you're doing. Check the 200-day.
Learn about CPI,
You feel me? Like,
do some scholarly
learn
things.
about the interest rates, like,
pay attention to some data coming out,
Exactly. And I did have a little question rundown that you could go through in the Facebook. So if you're having a little trouble of what you should be thinking about before you buy a leap, I ran a couple things down for you. You might want to check it out. But outside of that, we'll see y'all later. Y'all have a good night, man.